What's up, nerds? It's your boy, the OG GM, coming to you live from a small island off the coast of Costa Rica on this, the second to last day of April 2023. It's about 10:30 in the morning. It's spring! I know if you look out the window, you can't tell it's spring because it's gloomy and foggy and blech, but I suppose if my choice is gloomy and foggy and blech or fire, I'll choose gloomy and foggy and blech. And speaking of gloomy, the fate of Eberron seems to be sealed? Question mark? Which, of course, then opens the whole other door of, well, who actually still owns the rights to Eberron? Does Wizards of the Coast still own it? Does Keith own it? Does somebody else own it? Where does Eberron stand in the confusion over the future of D&D type products? Well, here is what Keith has to say. He has announced that his Eberron-based publishing company will be ending production after 4 years. The company, led by Eberron creator Keith Baker, produced stuff for specifically the DM's Guild. But there was a 5e Eberron book, but he's done Exploring Eberron, Chronicles of Eberron, Dread Metrol, and Eberron Confidential. He had another book called Frontiers of Eberron, Quickstone, that was in the burner, and it will continue to be released going forward. But after that, he seems to be washing his hands on Eberron. Eberron was introduced as a 5e setting in Rising from the Last War in 2019, but since then has seen no hide nor hair nor mention in the ever-confusing cosmos of 5e. So will Eberron be a plane you can visit in Planescape? Is Eberron still connected to whatever the D&D canon going forward is, or has it drifted off? Anyways, it feels like he's not going to have his fingers too much in Eberron, but Eberron will still be in the hands of somebody. It'll be in the hands of Visionary Productions and Design, who will be continuing producing the titles that are already in print, the 4 that I mentioned. God, I can't talk this morning. I need more caffeine. Exploring Eberron, Chronicles of Eberron, Dread Metrol, Eberron Confidential. Those are all on DM's Guild, and those will remain on DM's Guild for the foreseeable future. Frontier of Eberron will be out sometime next year from the same people. And as far as regards to Eberron Rising from the Last War, which Wizards of the Coast put out in 2019, if you can find it, get it. Because we know after 2024, we don't know what's going to happen to pre-2024 D&D titles. Is Wizards of the Coast going to continue to actively produce them, or are they going to just sort of let them fade to obscurity while they actively produced post-2024 product? It seems like they're just going to be like, okay, Eberron Rising of the Last War, Tomb of Annihilation, Storm King's Thunder, all those things, well, they're out there. And if you're out there, you can get them fine. And the PDFs are out there. And if you can find the PDFs, fine. But we're not going to support them. And we're not going to produce anymore. And when they run out, they run out. And if the PDF might cease to exist, we're not going to release a new one. But if you've already got it, great. Because it'll be compatible. No, it won't. But we're not going to support it anymore. So Eberron Rising of the Last War is floating out there. Is it D&D? Is it not D&D? I guess we don't know. What is Keith going to do in the future? Why is he abandoning Eberron? Well, he's been saying for a while he wants to do other stuff. I think he's earned his money, time, and chops with creating Eberron and making sure Eberron stayed true to his vision, despite everything that's happened over the past couple of years. And maybe it's time just to hand his baby off to somebody else and focus on some of his other settings, like Gloom and some of the other stuff he's made. Or maybe he wants to make sure that Eberron isn't affected by all this other stuff. He's been wanting to talk about writing novels, stuff like that. See, it says he's been talking about wanting to write new novels for a while, but he basically can't write anything Eberron without getting the go-ahead from WOTC. who barely publish any novels anymore, are going through DM's Guild, which doesn't allow anything that isn't primarily a gaming supplement of some kind. The OGL debacle also didn't help. Sad to see, especially turns out to be a sign as Baker's walking away from Eberron altogether, rather than just wanting to focus on non-Eberron projects, but I definitely understand where he's coming from. So, I don't know. It's always been a top 5 most popular listed of titles out there for D&D. Hopefully he'll do something new that is not connected to D&D in any way, shape, or form, and he can escape the OGL, post-OGL nonsense, and Eberron will just be there as a, wonderful, interesting chapter in the life of death of Dungeons and Dragons, and how it, re-influenced and revitalized and changed the role-playing game panorama when it first came out, and its association with 4th edition, and what should have been, what could have been, what it was, how Wizards of the Coast treated it, how it changed the paradigm, because it did. I mean, after Eberron came out, look how many other games were like, oh, dude, I so want to make a steampunk, Arcanepunk role-playing game stuff. So, yeah, he sort of revitalized an aspect of the genre and sort of created an aspect of the genre. Nobody really thought that was going to be the winner when the contest was. I remember the contest because I entered the contest and then I was like, nah, what am I doing? None of my ideas are original. Because if you remember the contest, a lot of them were exactly the same. And there were a lot that were like Eberron, with the same sort of steampunk, Arcanepunk, floating islands, anime, giant robot, battle chasers feel to it. Eberron just did it best. And yeah, so good on you, Keith. If nothing else, if you never do anything again and just go back to making music and writing books, you know that you created Eberron, you changed the face of role-playing for a while, and whatever it is Wizards of the Coast decides to do with it or not do with it, and whatever DM's Guild decides to do with it or not do with it, you can just be happy going, I did that. What did you do? So more power to you, Keith. I hope you find happiness and a new home, and the people currently in charge with Eberron continue to make Eberron product for all the people that love it, and continue to support the products out there, and hopefully continue to find ways to keep Wizards of the Coast from messing it up too badly. Are you a fan of Eberron? Let me know. Are you not a fan of Eberron? Let me know. Where does Eberron exist in your cavalcade of what you think are good settings for D&D? Is Arcanepunk, Steampunk a good setting for D&D, or do you like, God, I hate that. D&D needs to be knights and armor and wizards and dragons, not robots. I don't know. Part of me loved Eberron. Part of me hated Eberron. Part of me was like, man, that was my idea. I love Battle Chasers and Arcanepunk, even though there's no such word as Arcanepunk. So, I don't know. But it was popular. And, you couldn't go 5 minutes without seeing a Warcaster or a Warforged. And a Warforged Artifactor. And, of course, the Warforged Druid, who was a Transformer. Bam, 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 bam. So, yeah. History. And now history is coming to an end. Keith is whatever. He's letting his baby go. He's moving on to other things. Maybe it's because of the OGL nonsense and whatever Wizards of the Coast has plans. Maybe he's just like, I'm tired. I don't know. What are you thinking? Let me know what your feelings about this are and the fate of Eberron, and if you even care, if you don't care. General questions that I always ask. Till then, have a great Saturday. I am the OG GM. I hope you appreciate my fumbling through this news in my usual way. If you do, thank you. If you don't, how can I improve? Till then, see ya.